Bo Mike Bailey.
Hi Mike.
Hello.
So, working in DDT for the last couple of years, how do you think you've evolved and changed as a wrestler from working in Japan so regularly? What have you picked up from there?
Well, it's a completely different style over there, so just like any other country you'll go and work where styles are different, you pick up little bits and pieces, and there's so many different kinds of talented wrestlers over there. Like there's a lot of obviously there's a funny side of DDT, there's a lot of people that work the more serious side, and it's just picking up and getting to catch on the mix of all that. That's really been something that's been eye-opening for me, the way they change back and forth from one style to the other, and then everyone's able to do both and just adapt in that way.
No more questions?
Okay, thank you.
What is this? Ah, JP.
Hello, Mike.
Hello.
In the time that you've been coming over to Europe and you've seen the progression of the European wrestling scene, how do you feel it sort of stands up now compared to when you first came over and started working, particularly for wXw?
If I had started coming to Europe a couple years before, my answer would be a lot different. The first time, I think I came over to England for Rev Pro and then started coming from wXw. So Europe had already just started blowing up, obviously, and now it's one of the hottest places for indie wrestling in the world. So I don't want to take credit for that whole explosion and indie wrestling getting so big, but I think I made that happen for the most part.
You did?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Mike, okay?
Hello.
Hi. So recently you
nice t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Heels and faces, good job.
Thank you. Did you like the portrait I did of you?
Yeah.
Anyway, so recently you had I was calling one of the match of the years between you and Bad Bones recently.
Yeah, man.
I thought that was awesome match. But
thank you.
You've got a huge match against Bobby Guns this weekend. So what's your views on that? Coming off a loss, but potentially probably a match of the year, in my opinion.
So, obviously Bad Bones and Bobby Guns are two very different styles of wrestlers, so it's probably going to be completely different, but no less good. But, so, it's happened a couple times to me, and again, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I've had a couple matches that people have called Match of the Year, and people don't seem to realize it's February. So, yeah, no, people said that was the biggest wXw match, but they've had three, before that, they had 3 marquee events. So that was number 1 in the top 3 main events of the year. There's gonna be, I'm sure tonight, when are we? We're March 9th, right? There's gonna be 100 matches this weekend that are gonna top the one I had with Bad Bones. So maybe, if it still counts as a match of the year contender after at least this weekend, then it earns some credibility. But you can't just go and call a match of the year when a promotion has had 2 main events. 2 other ones at least. Not that the match wasn't good, or I didn't love it, or Bad Bones isn't freaking phenomenal. But still, February, bit early to throw out match of the year. Okay, so just be careful with that, everyone, okay? Thank you.
Mike, you've had a great match with Mark Haskins yesterday at the Inner Circle match, Inner Circle card. You'll be facing Jonah Rock as well this weekend. What are your thoughts on him? Have you seen a lot of him before? And also, do you prefer to face smaller, quicker guys like Haskins, or the more massively built ones like Jonah Rock?
Yes, of course I'd seen a ton of his matches before ever since. I didn't know him until he started doing PWG and then really blown up and has been everywhere since then, having phenomenal matches. I met him for the first time last Sunday at Kamikaze Pro in the UK, and then I got to see him wrestle again at the Inner Circle show. But ambition is really special because it's that those shoot rules that just make it completely different. And I'm very happy that me being one of the smaller guys on the tournament, maybe the smallest guys in that tournament, fighting off against, I don't know, who's bigger, Jonah Rock or Walter?
Pretty much the same size.
Pretty much the same, right? Well, so it's the smallest guy versus the biggest guy, which you will not see anywhere else because according to mixed martial arts rule, like all over the world, that's been completely illegal since 1991. So I'm very excited for that.
Do you take any pride in
Yes.
having such a great career and having loads of great matches around the world, but not in the USA or not really a lot in the UK either, which are sort of like the two bigger places, and obviously not in like in a smaller company in Japan? Do you take pride in like having great matches for smaller promotions?
Not especially, no. Seriously, not really, because it's just wherever you put me, I'm going to try to have the best match I can. Just always how I operate, even if there's 30 people in the crowd and it's the worst promotion you've ever seen. I'll always just do my best. And just because, I don't know, it would be silly to take pride in something that it's not a conscious choice. Obviously, if I had my own say, I would be main eventing WrestleMania. But I don't. I'm in a lot of smaller promotions, which I'm totally okay with because it's just, it's a different kind of wrestling. My goals are slightly different, you know what I mean? Whereas I'm not, instead of making millions of dollars, I feel like a lot of times, especially in Canada, where I work for a lot of smaller promotions there, because obviously wrestling is not as big as the UK or Japan. When I'm on those shows and I actually the crowd is actually excited to see me because my name is not drowned in a bunch of other world-class pro wrestlers' names, but it's nice. I mean, it's nice to get to do that, to go to a show and really feel like I elevated. But if I had the chance to wrestle for all those bigger promotions, I would. It's just my career didn't work out this way, and that's fine.
Hi, Mike.
Hello.
I have a question from Twitter.
Yes.
And Gary wants to know, who's your favorite opponent on your current loop in Europe?
Sorry, in Europe?
Yeah.
Man, that's such an impossible question to answer lately. Because there's too many people, right? There's too many people that have had just great matches. Again, I keep wrestling David Starr. We've had like 4 singles matches since the beginning of the year, and they've all been wonderful. And then same thing with Travis Banks, whom I wrestled a couple times, and then I'm trying to remember who else. I had Travis Banks yesterday. Mark Haskins yesterday was phenomenal, and I'd love to do that again. These questions are completely unanswerable because there are way too many good wrestlers out there right now, and it's just impossible to pick one.
Thank you.
You've just mentioned working in Canada. What's the scene like there at the moment? So what are the promotions that people internationally should watch out for?
The short answer is C4, Smash Wrestling, IWS, FLQ, Battle War. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot. NSPW in Quebec City. So Quebec right now probably feels like England did maybe 4 years ago, where promoters are just starting to work together and bring people over, bring big names over and collaborate with that and give seminars, and obviously that just makes everything grow. Right now it's a lot of small promotions that all work really hard and are just growing. When I started wrestling, it was 11 or 12 years ago or something, in Quebec, no one got paid, no one made a dime, and you had your average show in Quebec had about 50 people. Last weekend, there was a bunch of shows last Saturday. There was 4 or 5 shows in Quebec alone that I kept track of, all sold out, which is something we'd never seen before. So that region is growing. It's like the UK was 4 years ago, and I hope that in about 4 years it'll be where the UK is now, where promoters are working together and the scene just completely explodes and everyone is better for it.
Hi, Mike.
Hello.
My question is, when you're okay to work in America again, do you plan on focusing more on the American wrestling scene than you do the European and Japanese wrestling scene at the moment?
No. My plan is always to just find where I have the, you know, where I can do the best work and put out the best matches and make the best art. And if, when I can go back, that's America, that's where I'll go. If it's still Europe, that's fine. If it's Japan, that's okay too.
Mike, how are you?
Hi.
Just wondering, you've spent a lot of time now in DDT. Which of their guys over there have you learnt the most from, and which of the young guys, with the exception of Takashita, do you think has the brightest future?
Well, if you go with the exception of Takeshita, obviously number 2 is Endo right now, Tetsuya Endo, who's just absolutely phenomenal. But man, it's insane. So, show of hands here. How many people know who Takeshita Konosuke is? 1, 2, 3. Good. He is the best wrestler in the world. That's not an exaggeration, like, at all. There's very few people that I've wrestled that I can say, like, that I've had matches with that I'm like, oh wow, when I wrestle, like, me wrestling this guy makes me, like, twice as good as I am just because I'm in the ring with this person. There's Will Ospreay, there's him, there's a bunch of others that are signed now, and there's a few others that I just can't think of right now, but he is possibly the best wrestler in the world, and if you don't know him, then shame on you.
Hi, just in terms of like references, is there anything that you go back and watch like that people wouldn't think that you watch because of your style that you just want to pick up on, especially when traveling to all these different places like Europe, Japan? Like, is there anything that you watch to prepare for those tours?
My watching wrestling routine usually centers around what I'm like. If I know I'm going to wrestle someone eventually, then I'll try to watch as many of their matches as I can. Or if I'm going to wrestle somewhere, then I try to watch as much of that as possible, just to learn the style and learn what the crowds there want. And this is something I say a lot to people. Like, there's a lot of wrestlers I know like to watch. Like 90% of the wrestling they watch is old Nitro episodes, which is fun and all, but I don't think any current wrestler is going to wrestle for WCW in 1994. I don't think that's going to happen unless they can travel like through time, which only a minority of pro wrestlers can. That's an exclusive right there. But so yeah, I think that's what I watch, and that's what you should watch. You should watch who you want to wrestle like, and where you want to wrestle, right? Or where you're going to wrestle. That's mostly. But other than that, I watch pretty much everything. Like, of course, I try to watch things where I'm actively studying or trying to learn something. But there's a lot like at the wXw apartment I've been staying. We watch a lot of old UWF that hold shoot style wrestling, because that's just fun. You know what I mean? But that's a minority of what I watch. Most of what I watch is actively things I want to do. Most of the wrestling I watch is studying, even though I still completely enjoy watching wrestling.
You've been based in wXw for a little while now, and at the apartments.
Yes.
How have you enjoyed the experience here? And have you enjoyed like participating in the Shotguns skits and like being on some of the smaller shows? Like, how has the whole wXw experience been for you?
It's been great. So their setting is ideal for my lifestyle right now, where I'm mostly homeless, but I live wherever wrestling promotions will host me. Also, I got to spend, so I have one more week here in Germany before I go back to Japan. I got to spend a month and a half, or more than that, about a month and a half living with Veda Scott, which is the most we've done for a while now. And just the fact that we stay there and we have access to the gym and the ring every day, and that's what we've been doing, just we've been training together, living together, getting to work for wXw, and that's been wonderful. Just the setup at the academy where you have access to the ring 24/7, that's something Veda and I wanted a lot, you know what I mean? Just to have a place where we can both do what we love every day for how many hours we want, just working on dropkicks or whatever. It's been great.
Maybe you have time for 2 or 3 more questions. Are there any? Is there anything you want to know? Any more questions?
Hi Mike, maybe we can go back to your childhood a little bit and your first impression, the change of fighting sports, karate to wrestling. What was your idea about training and wrestling? Is it a completely different idea of fighting and first impression of wrestling time?
So I grew up with 2 brothers and a sister, and we all just fought all the time. So that's how I learned to love. And then eventually I saw on TV the Brood were trying to set Kane on fire. Kane was trying to set the Brood on fire. And I was like, wow, this is awesome, and I loved just wrestling after that. And then me and my brothers started wrestling at home, which I know they tell you not to do, but they tell you not to do it, and then you see Jeff Hardy jumping off a ladder, and they're like, don't do this, but it looks so cool. And there's a ladder in my backyard, and my brother's just laying there. So what am I supposed to do? That being said, yeah, so from like seeing that when I was like 7, I was like, wow, I want to be a pro wrestler. And even when I started martial arts just a few years after, I was like, kind of in the back of my mind was always, oh, I want to do this. This will be good when I start wrestling eventually. And then that became a thing.
Last question.
You've briefly mentioned Vita Scott.
Yes.
You two had, I think, a mixed match back in October in the UK.
Yes.
Is that something that you'd be interested in doing more, or just wrestling together with her in the future?
Absolutely. That tag team match, which was at WCPW, which is now Defined, was probably the most fun I've had wrestling in several years. And like I said, I think Access to the Ring, we've been working on tag team moves we could do. So like it's something that we're actively pursuing that I would really like to do, and just have us be a tag team and wrestle as a tag team. That's something I'm actively looking for places that we can do. And I think as intergender wrestling gets more popular, right, that's a thing that more places will be open to, and we're just looking for, well, that's exactly what I want to do right now, yeah.
All right.